Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Marriage in the Mix podcast. I am your host, BJ. I am really excited today, guys, because we've got two amazing guests, Casper and Cheryl Stockham. They've been married for over 20 years. I really can stop there because that is a blessing in and of itself.
Amen.
That is such an amazing and a beautiful thing. But aside from that, they are on a mission to help couples transform relationship struggles into victory, right?
Yeah.
So, and
Mhm.
today they're here to talk to us about the importance of compromise, communication, and addressing conflict, all things that at any stage in a relationship or a marriage, we all need to be cognizant of all the time, if you ask me. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you guys doing today?
We're doing awesome. We appreciate the opportunity to visit with you and your podcast viewers. And yeah, we're here to help as many couples and even singles with their relationship challenges.
Well, thank you for joining me. The pleasure is all mine. And I've got to say, I always do a little stalking. And I came across your book, Divorce Proofing Your Marriage. And
Yes.
with me being somewhat of a newlywed, I don't know how long the newlywed season lasts, but I got married last March. And I can tell you already, a lot of the stuff that you were hitting on in the first couple of chapters in the book, it resonates with me already. And
Yeah.
I think luckily for me, I don't think you can really be prepared fully, but I think for me, I had done a lot of what I feel was the work. And so, when I was reading certain things, it was like, okay, yep, that resonates. One thing for
Mhm.
me though, that stood out in that very first chapter, you talked about seeking a good match. And I think that's
Yes.
really important because if you don't have a good match to begin with, then compromise and
Mhm.
communication, all that stuff don't even really matter. And, not to get too spiritual, but I feel that um, God gives us free will and choice. So we do get to pick our match, right? That's
Right.
my
Me too.
opinion.
Right.
So
Yeah.
when you said that in the book, it really resonates for me. So Casper, tell me, how and when did you know that Cheryl was a good match for you? I want the tea.
Yeah. First thing I want to say is never let the honeymoon end. Keep it
Mm,
going.
okay.
Never let it end. Right. So it was interesting because Cheryl and I went on our first date. Went to the movies and we watched an action movie. So she was into action movies, which I am as well. She's into sci-fi, which I am as well. So we went to the movies and I was just watching her the whole time because she was like on the edge of her seat checking out the movie. I was like, wow, she's like real. I mean, she's not just like doing it just because
You're
she
into it.
thinks you're right. She's like into it, right? And I'm into her because she's into the action movie. And then we talked for like 3 hours after the movie, and I was pretty convinced after that talk that she was going to be my wife. Now she was not convinced. I think she had a good time, but she wasn't convinced about the whole wife thing.
Okay, though, because I personally had a similar experience that my husband, he felt like he knew, like from that first day. Anything you want to add to that, Cheryl?
Well, first of all, I wasn't really looking to be married. I was quite happy being single, for one. And then the other thing was because I had been single for so long. I mean, we were in our 40s when we got married. And all of my friends around me who were married and miserable and had all kinds of trauma and drama and all kinds of mess going on. And all I kept thinking is like, Lord, I have peace of mind being who I am. I am single. I'm happy being single. I don't want to give up my peace of mind for misery.
Mhm.
So I'm not really looking for marriage. I'm not seeking it. And then one day the Lord did tell me, you are getting married. And I just blew it off because, I said, well, God, your time, you could be talking about 100 years from now. I'm not going to concern myself about it. But it is important to seek a good match, and I was very pleased at how much we had in common and how much we enjoy each other's company and just sitting and talking.
You still
Even
do.
yes, even in the rough times, the hard times, there were times where we have a story like everyone else, but there was times where, because shortly after we got married in September, and in January, Casper lost his job. He got laid off, and I had already been laid off, and I was in the middle of trying to start a new career. And so we just didn't have any money. And we would just sit on the sofa and look at each other and laugh and giggle and talk. And we just had a good time. Whereas with other couples, I know when finances aren't right, there's a whole lot of drama. There's a whole lot of pain and
pointing fingers,
blaming, and just all kinds of craziness go on. But I have to say that did not tear us apart, and I was intentional. I said, Lord, this is not meant to tear us apart, and it shouldn't tear us apart. So we grew closer together. So so now here we are 21 years later. In September it'll be 22, and we enjoy each other's company now as we did when we first met.
Yeah.
I love it. And thank you for sharing that with me, because although we are not even a year in, some of those things you just shared, we also experienced them in the early season. And it's, it can be scary. I remember recently, I was nearly in tears telling a friend, like, we just got married and we're going through this. But we talk to each other, and like you say, we laugh, and it's almost like it's not even, it's a thing, but it's not even a thing, like in terms of breaking that bond that we have. So thank you for sharing that, because I didn't even really think about it from that perspective until you said it. So thank you for that. Yeah. So, and I would also say, as a newlywed, one of the things that I'm learning a lot about is compromise. And I don't know why compromise gets such a bad rap sometimes. With me working in the insurance industry, people tend to think that compromise or settling is a bad thing, and I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's a great thing. But I'm learning that in a relationship setting, in a marriage setting, that can be the best, one of the best tools that you have. So Cheryl, what role has compromise played in maintaining a healthy and a strong relationship for you?
Oh wow, we've had to do a whole lot of compromising,
collaboration,
collaborating. We haven't had much agreeing to disagree. Now we're not identical twins, so we do see things from different perspectives. But that's where the compromise come in, because we're willing to come together and talk about it. And that's what I appreciate most about my husband, is that we have a godly kingdom marriage. So I respect the fact that he is the head of the household and that he may have the final say so. But what was more important to me is having a man that would come to me and say, well, what do you think?
Yes.
What are your thoughts on this? How are you feeling about it? Share with me a little bit of, what's going on in your mind. Or he'd come to me and say, okay, so this is how I was thinking about this, and I thought about it, and so let me share with you. And he would share with me what his thoughts is, and he'd say, now, what are your thoughts? Or what do you think about what I just said? How does that strike you? Man, that was all I ever asked God for, because it not all, but is to have a man, because I hadn't had that in previous relationships, to have a man who was a man, but still would come to you and what I thought, what I felt, saw me as an intelligent individual, and come to me and say, share with me what your perspective is on this. Man, I just that's a good man.
Well, it was easy because she is intelligent. And he was smarter than me on most things. So.
I love it.
When it comes to collaborating or compromising, we have to not think that our way is the only way, and also to not to if it's not that big of a deal, don't make it a big deal. Like
Yes.
we had some good friend of ours and stuff, and they invited us over to their house for dinner, and they were trying to decide what color to paint their den. So they had 2 or 3 colors on the wall, her colors and his colors. And every time they invite a couple, we find out later, every time they invite somebody over, you know, we have to decide which color we like the best and stuff. And I'm like, dude, really? It's not that
Isn't it
big. Whatever color she wants the den to be, that's the color it's going to be. Right. Now,
Yeah.
my office, I'd like to choose a color for my office, but the den, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, like he said, we don't make a big deal out of stuff. I respect his thoughts, I respect his opinion, and I respect him he should have a space that he calls his own, in the house. Like I have my little spot and my daughter has her little spot, everyone should be able to have that, and it shouldn't be drama behind it,
Yeah.
So, like you said, if it ain't a problem, don't make it one. Yeah.
And I have to agree with that. I think that's one of the few things that I've learned quickly is I have to ask myself, is this really worth fighting about? Like, does it really, in the grand scheme of things, does it matter? If not, let him have that. And I'm going to save my energy for the big stuff that really matters to me. Because when something big really does matter to me, I want him to hear me. So I'm not going to always just be making a big deal out of the little stuff. But you did say something that I kind of want to circle back to really quick. It sounds like you got married in your 40s as well, right? And one of the things that I hear from people, and I may have been a victim of it myself, is saying, oh, I'm going to be set in my ways, or the older you get, the more set in your ways. And sometimes these types of people who have this mindset, they're a little bit reluctant to get into a relationship or a marriage. Sure. Was that a thing for either of you?
I wasn't reluctant, and my friends were absolutely shocked and surprised at how well we got along. Right. Because they just did not see me. Because, when I was single, I was single. And I liked being single, and I enjoyed being single. And, all was mine. Mine was my kingdom, But when I got married and had someone who I enjoyed being with, enjoyed talking to, my husband's a very practical, soft-spoken man.
Used to be.
Well, yeah, he seems to talk more now. I don't know what's going on, but it didn't, because we had so much in common. We had more things in common than not. There wasn't necessarily any reason to stand my ground or call myself being set in my ways about this or the other. It just didn't even come into play. It just didn't happen. And first of all, probably because I really didn't have that mindset that I was stuck in my ways. So as long as I was being treated well and respected and cherished, and he treated me like an intelligent individual, I really didn't have any problem. And so it just worked well from my end. How about you?
No, same here. Yeah.
I think it goes back to when you were saying you find a good match or you seek a good match. A lot of those strongholds or those limiting beliefs, whatever you want to call it, they just kind of fall by the wayside because you've got a good match.
Yeah, if you don't seek a good match, what happens is in the beginning, a lot of relationships, opposites attract, right? They talk about opposites attract. Well, yeah, but after a while, opposites annoy. Because if you're quiet and you are with someone that's always talking, and then at first you're like, oh, he's always talking. I love when he talks, and then after a while you're like, okay, can you please stop talking? It's really you're really annoying.
Like you striking a nerve because I am so unorganized at times, and my husband isn't. He is ex-military, and I noticed that you served in the Air Force. So thank you for your service. But he was so organized and stuff, and I'm not. And I'm hoping that I don't start to annoy him.
Yeah, so
annoying. I love it.
As long as you know that up front, then you can deal with it, right? You can work on those things and start to compromise a little bit on some of those things. But in the beginning, if you don't, it starts to annoy, and then you start to separate a little bit. And then what the enemy winds up having somebody show up that is the same, right? So then you say,
Wow.
yeah, you have to be very, very careful of that. Yeah.
Don't let that bring a wedge between the two of you.
Right.
No, that's very interesting that it almost sounds like people you work with, the clients you work with, you want to teach them to kind of be proactive in knowing what things could potentially draw a
Very,
wedge between them.
very, very proactive. Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Well, in your situation, it would mainly come about in your home, so that's a little bit different, right?
Okay.
But in a situation where someone is into sports and the other one's not, right?
Mhm.
So the one that's not stays home. The one that is goes out to the sporting event. Well, there may be somebody at the sporting event that is really into sports, and now they're talking and they're laughing and giggling and oh, I just love it, yeah. And next thing you know, something else happens, right? So if that's the case, I mean, not just you, but the person that's not into sports is going to need to be a little bit into sports.
Okay.
They need to be able to go with their spouse to these sporting events. Not necessarily all of them, but enough of them so that people know that we are a couple. And then the one that is in the sporting events is going to have to back off of some of those sporting events because now they're married, right? They have other interests. And the sporting event should not be taking any kind of precedence over your marriage. So there's it's this compromise again, right? So you have to compromise on cutting back on some of the sporting events, but also the one that's not into sports needs to be into sports a little bit.
I love it. I love that you kind of use that example about sports and also about like being present, with your spouse.
Yeah.
And it made me think of some advice, or it wasn't really about advice. It was conversation I had with another lady that's been married probably 25, 30 years. Because now I'm more into sports, and I'm not just doing it for him. I'm genuinely interested in some of it. But sometimes he would watch football games, and I would feel that I'm present because I'm sitting there with him. And the other lady, she said, because I somehow revealed to her that, yeah, I'm sitting right there with him, but I'm on my phone. And she's like, you're not present. And I'm like, I am. I'm there. And she's like, no, you're not. And it got me kind of to thinking. And I'm like,
yeah.
I feel like I'm present, like I'm here with you. So I don't know, and I don't know if you would agree with that or not, but it did at least make me more mindful that if I'm gonna be present and not distracted as well. If not, maybe I might as well not even be present at all.
Well, and it depends. I don't want to speak for your husband, but it depends on the marriage, because some husbands are just fine with the wife being there and not really engaged or involved. And other husbands are like, honey, did you see that? Did you see that? And she's like, what? No, no, I'm on Facebook.
Guilty. Okay. Look, I'm multitasking. I'm trying to get stuff. You are so right.
Yeah. And that also brings me to a point why it is so important when you're dating to look at this individual as they are. You don't try to be someone to impress them, because that's deceiving. So if this person loves going to hockey games, but you really don't even like hockey, but you're dating stage and you want to, you're trying to impress and you want to be, and so you go and you go and go. And then after if you guys get married, then, he's like, oh, let's go to the hockey game. He's like, I don't want to go.
No.
I don't even like hockey. It's like
I don't even like hockey. I was just doing it.
You have given me the impression that you enjoyed the game all the times we win. We had a good time. And so you don't want to do that either.
Right.
You want when you want it to be genuine, and you want to go because you really, for instance, Casper and I, one of the things that he liked was golfing.
Right.
I had never played golf. I thought it was silly running around trying to hit a little white ball. So I wasn't interested. However, one day he said, come go with me. Have you ever been? Come go with me to the driving range. Let's go out and hit some balls. And my first thought was like, oh gee. But I thought, honestly, Cheryl, you've never been.
Yeah.
You've never really played. You just made up your mind that you didn't like it. So we went together and I had the best time. There's a lot more to golf than what I thought, first of all. And I was sore and stiff the next couple of days, but we had a blast. And it was more than just having a good time because I was with him. That was the cherry on top. But I actually really started to like golf.
Yeah.
So he
And then we
made
went
a
out
believer out
golfing
of
with
you.
yeah. And then we went out golfing with some friends of ours and stuff. So we had a good time on the.
And so my point is, you need to be willing to try something maybe you've never tried before.
Yeah.
To do something maybe you've never done before. Don't be so closed-minded or quote unquote setting your ways that you won't even step outside the box and go over to his side and see it from his perspective and learn to enjoy life and enjoy being with each other. So that's why it's really important to seek a good match. It's really important to be you.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be
authentic.
phony.
Yeah,
Don't be
authentic.
personating. Yes, be authentic. And to here's another one of our tips. This is a big one. Don't choose a makeover project.
Ooh, say that again.
Don't choose a makeover project. Now, you know how we have a tendency, and this is not all women, but this is being a little general. We see something, we want to fix it up. That's just our thing.
Look, I ain't gonna say nothing, but no, I'm just kidding.
Man, if he pulls his pants up, he might be something.
Yeah, girl, all he needs is a new suit. He'll be fine.
Oh my
Just take him to
gosh.
get a haircut. He'll be all right.
Jesus.
But it's a lot deeper than that. So don't take on a makeover project. Don't take on a drama.
Yeah.
You don't really want to spend the rest of your life in drama.
You don't.
So don't take on a person who has so much drama in their life.
And if they're living with their mom in the basement, that's probably, you need to just go on past that. Just keep on.
Yeah.
So these are just some of the tips that we give to our singles.
Right.
And I'll just run through, we call them the 7 keys of a healthy relationship. And the first one is seek a good match. The second is pay attention to your values and their values. Choose a real partner, not a makeover project. Mm-hmm. Don't try to change yourself to be someone else. Expect good communication. Mm-hmm. Don't play games or manipulate people. And the last one is have a bottom line.
Absolutely.
Oh, speak to that one, because I'm curious. What does that look like? Have a bottom? I think I know, but I need to hear it from you to make sure I'm not going off on the tangent in my head.
So having a bottom line means you draw a line in the sand where you're not going to cross. Okay. So if there is an individual who he might be a really cool guy, but maybe he likes to hang out at the bars. He drinks maybe a little more than he may not call himself a drunk, but he likes to drink. And he's drinking, or he's a little bit social. Maybe he's a little too flirty. Have a bottom line. No, I got to move on. Yeah. This one's not for me. It might be somebody else's, but this was not mine. Don't be afraid to move on.
Right.
Yes.
Don't just do anything just so you can have a person in your life.
Yeah. And that can even apply on the physical level too. If you're dating, it's okay. Like Cheryl had a bottom line when we were dating, and she told me that even though she's not a virgin, but she had decided to not be intimate with anybody until marriage. And I had really no concept of that process. So I'm like, what?
Rewind that.
But it was the best thing that happened because we got to be friends. You know, it wasn't about the physical. It was about us talking things out and enjoying being with each other and so forth. So, you know, it's not necessarily for every couple, but for us, it was the best thing that could have happened was for her to have that as a bottom line. Say, look, we can date, we can go to the movies, we can go to dinner, whatever, but unless we are married, there won't be any and initially she did this to get rid of me, actually. That's what it was. She's
She had
like,
a
how do I get
strategy.
rid? She had a strategy. He said, how do I get rid of this guy?
It worked on all the others.
He's like, okay, I got this. Say less.
Yeah,
He showed you, didn't he?
it didn't work. No.
It didn't work. I like
So
it because you call it the bottom line, and I think that's an excellent way of describing it. I think that I've kind of been referring it to as deal breakers because I
Same
had
thing.
yeah, and for me, I shift my mindset because I felt like a lot of times society would tell us as women, you know, he's got to have this or if he has that. But for me, the deal breakers are more so like characteristics, but as well as like you said, there was some hard lines that yeah, this is would be an absolute deal breaker or a bottom line for me. So I like that you bring attention to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Let's talk about communication a little bit because this not about me. You probably don't believe me. But I think you really need to start to learn to communicate while you're single. Like you
Absolutely.
really need to learn because in the relationship setting, and I actually learned this in the last relationship that I was in before I got married, because his mom told me this, and I was like, "Girl, I ain't trying to hear that." But I really became to practice it in this marriage. But a big part of communication for me has been timing. And I used to feel like, no, I got to say it right now. We got to address this right now. And if I don't say it now, I'm going to lose that momentum. I'm going to lose that power of getting my point across. But it's actually been the opposite. You know, I've learned, you know, and I'm not saying that that will work for all couples, but timing has been a very important piece of communication.
Yes.
Please tell me I'm not going down the wrong path.
No, you're absolutely right. So when you're dating, it is important to know then if this person that you're with, you and them can have a good communication. Your communication styles kind of click
Right.
a little bit, and you can talk to this person. You feel comfortable enough that you can talk to him or her about anything. And they're one of the things that we talk about is making it safe to connect. They make it safe for you to connect and have a good conversation. Now, if you're sitting with someone and you're, having a conversation and you're talking and they're just not on the same level, maybe you're intellectually different, maybe you're experientially different, maybe there's a spiritual difference, but what a cultural difference.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you can't communicate with that person, then that's the whole foundation of the relationship is being able to talk to each other without screaming and yelling and fussing and fighting and calling each other names and devaluing people. You need to be able to just sit and have a conversation. Casper and I can go to an event and no one can talk to us, and it's okay because we are so engrossed in our own conversation with each other and laughing and talking. You want someone that you can share your dreams with, share your vision with, and they get it.
They get it. Yeah.
They're on the edge of their seat. Even they never thought of it, but they're like, wow, that's really good.
Yeah.
And for me, the first thing was that my husband, when we were dating, he was honest. So when we on that first date we went on, and I asked him, how tell me about yourself. And he just volunteered and began to tell me about all of his past relationships and failed marriages and all
Drama.
that. And but what touched me is that he was genuine. He was
Mm,
sincere. I didn't have to drag it out of him. I didn't have
mm.
to pull it out of him.
He was
I didn't
forthcoming.
walk away with a question mark. Because you know how when you're with some people, they talk and they talk, but you kind of know they're holding back. You kind of
Yeah,
know they're
yeah.
not telling me the truth here. This is not flowing. But he was open. He was above board. He didn't stutter when he needed to talk to me. It
Mm,
wasn't like he was trying to, come up with the next lie, make sure they all come together, you know? So that
Yeah.
was key for me.
When it comes to communication, though, there there could easily come a time to where there's some conflict, to where yeah,
Right.
you're the conversation is escalating and
Mhm.
nothing is getting through. And
Mhm.
we talk to couples all the time because this is like one of the top three challenges that couples have faced, right? Is financial, communication, and sex.
mhm.
So, when it comes to communication, we have this free tool that we have on our social media page and even on our website. It's a communication tool. And what it does is it allows for you to slow the conversation down. So if the conversation starts to get heated, and I know you said you like to get resolution right away, and
I'm
and
getting
that's me,
better.
and that's me, right? That's me.
Mhm,
But my wife is a withdrawer, right? So she likes to just go away and think about it for a while.
mhm.
And so withdrawing is fine, but you don't want to withdraw to the point that you don't address whatever it was, right? We need that
Mhm.
resolution. Like I need it like right away, like you said, right?
Yeah.
So if somebody is a withdrawer, then you need to set a time to come back. So, okay, I'll give you 6 hours or 3 hours or half a day, whatever it is, right? And you want to come back.
Mhm.
And when you come back, you want to come back with the tool in hand.
Oh,
So
okay.
now,
So
so
we got
now
some
you're not,
printables, something we can boom.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. Because what it does is it slows the conversation down. Now it doesn't feel normal because it's not, right?
Mhm.
Normally conversation, you're just flowing back and forth and maybe you're arguing or whatever. But this tool forces you to slow it down. And you're asking or you're making a statement, the other person has to paraphrase back to you what you said, not what they're thinking,
Mhm.
what you said,
Mhm.
right? And you'll be surprised. A lot of people, well, I didn't really. So, are you saying that I don't love you? Well, yeah, I don't feel loved. Well, no, I love you. Oh, I love you too. And next thing you
Mhm.
know, whatever the issue was, it's not an issue anymore because you guys know that you love each
Well, I'm gonna have to tell you how this tool works. I'm
other.
curious to try it. I'm sure there'll be an
I think we put
opportunity.
it. I think it's in the. Is it in the?
It's in the
It's in
book.
the book.
It's
I
in the
think
book.
too.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's in the
Casper,
book.
I did want to also ask you
Mhm.
before we go about the nonverbal communication. Is that a thing for you? Like, say, for instance, Cheryl comes home and she is, you just pick up, you can see that she's not saying it, but you can see that something's wrong. Like, what effect does that have on how you communicate back with her? Are there times where you say, like, okay, I see it's not a good time? You didn't say it, but you're
Mhm.
clearly maybe not having a great day.
Well, like I said, because Cheryl is a withdrawer, I know to give her space, give her some time,
Mhm.
because now we've gotten so used to it or used to each other that I know to give her space, and she knows that we need to resolve whatever it is. If it's an issue normally it's not an issue with me anyway, so I'm good. Normally it's somebody that pissed her off somewhere else,
So it
but
wasn't me. I
I'm just
know
glad
I'm
it wasn't
good.
me. I'm just glad it wasn't me. So, in fact, I'll ask her. I said, "Is something that I did?" She said, "No, no." I said, "Oh, okay, I'm good then. Go ahead, girl. Do your thing."
Let me ask you this: and that's a perfect example because I can be a little bit of like maybe a pleaser. So in that same example, she comes home, somebody else did something. It wasn't you, but you want to help.
Yeah,
Okay, so who did something to you? And maybe she doesn't want to talk about it. Like, leave me alone.
yeah. Oh,
how
yeah.
do how do I get what I need? Because I want to help. I want to, be a part. I don't want to just feel useless here, but I want to give you the space and the autonomy to do. you.
Yeah,
And that's a little bit, if you have a little bit of that pleaser mentality, that can be frustrating when you can't
it
help your person.
it definitely can, and that's kind of where I am. But again, I've learned over the years to give her that space. And
Okay.
if she needs the help, she will, she'll reach out to me if she wants.
Let her
Um,
ask for it.
sometimes it's just, she just needs an ear, right? She just needs for me to
Mm.
hear what she's saying. And sometimes she doesn't want a solution. She just wants me to hear what she's saying. Other times, if she see, healthy people ask for what they want and need.
Oh, say that
Okay.
again.
Healthy people ask for what they want and need. So if she wants help, then she needs to ask me. Otherwise, I'm going to let her just deal with it. I'm going to be the ear so she can tell me about it, but then I'm not going to press it any further. So she says, no, I need for you to engage on this one because I don't know what to do or whatever. So yeah, it's each couple is going to be different. Each situation is going to be different. So there's no one specific answer for that issue. But
That's
over
fair.
time, over time, you're going to start to know each other and
Mm-hmm.
know when to push the button, when not to push the button, when to stay away from the button. Don't push that button.
Look,
Don't
I'll be
push the
right
button.
there. I'm like, say it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just
um,
totally kidding.
so so that communication thing we were talking about earlier is chapter 19 in
Chapter
the book.
19. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Look,
Yeah.
I really appreciate you guys taking some time out with me this afternoon, this evening. And I just want to turn it over to you, if you want to drop any final gems or words of encouragement. And also, in addition to how you can be reached. We'll drop it in the links, of course, but I want them to hear it
Sure.
directly from you guys.
Sure. Sure.
My word of encouragement is you can do this. If your marriage is maybe your marriage is perfect, then push the envelope. If it's a 10, take it to the 11.
Mm.
But if your marriage is at a 2, don't leave it there. We can work on it. You can do this. Take it to a 3. If it's a 7, take it to a 8. It may be step by step and little by little, but don't throw in the towel. Don't quit. Don't give in. And if you are a believer and Jesus is Lord over your life, He's there for you. He will help you work through all the little intricacies and details, and He knows just how to deal with you, and how to deal with your spouse. He knows. So trust Him to do that, and have hope. I just want to encourage you. And that's what we're all about. Divorce is not always the answer.
Yeah. Matter of fact, it's rarely the answer.
Mm-hmm.
50% of the marriages unfortunately end in divorce, and they shouldn't, especially in the body of Christ. It should be rare in the
Mm-hmm.
body of Christ,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just as high as in the world, right? So we have free resources on our website. It's iamlovebuilders.com. iamlovebuilders.com. And we have a free ebook there. The first 5 chapters of the book are free through the ebook, and it's right on the website. You can get it for free. We have a love assessment that you can take to find out your love persona. It's very similar to like the 5 love languages. Have you heard about that? Yeah. So
Yes.
so we have the love assessment so you can find out your love persona. And then we also have the free training we do twice a month. The next one is coming up this Friday here in a couple of days. And we do this through Facebook and stuff. So if you go to our Facebook, any of our social media pages, you'll see how to connect
Mm-hmm.
to that free training. So we're on Facebook, we're on X, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Instagram, and we have a YouTube channel. So we have all those resources are free and available. We have hundreds of hours of trainings already there. But then we have our MVP program, and you can't see our shirts. We have a MVP, Most Valuable Partner shirts. So we have MVP program, and this is for couples who want to take their relationship to the next level, but want a continual contact.
Okay.
So we have these live interactive MVP training coaching calls twice a month. Now there is a cost for that, but it's well worth it because we are engaging with couples all the time. And then if there's something that's heavy, if it's a heavy issue, and we have dealt with heavy issues, infidelity and stuff like that, we would take that offline, right? It
Yeah,
wouldn't
okay.
be talked
Yeah,
about in the group.
definitely.
Yeah, but if it's something light, clothes on the floor or whatever, we can deal with that in the
That's
group.
not light. This is real. Get these clothes on.
Yeah, yeah.
You
So,
just told me who leaves the clothes on the floor. No, I'm just totally kidding, guys.
But our MVP club it's all about community. So we have the other couples, we're all on the call, and we're there to support, to encourage each other, to have a sense of community, cheer each other on. So that's what the MVP club is all about.
yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So, and just a quick question about
Mhm.
the training. And so, say if you've got one spouse who wants us to come to it, but the other one just isn't ready yet for whatever reason. Maybe it's their work schedule, or maybe they just don't believe in like the counseling and the coaching just yet. Is it something that the one spouse can come to by themselves and still, get that nourishment, or is it pretty important that both partners come?
So it's critical that both partners take advantage of the information, but we're not going to turn anybody away. If one spouse shows up and the other one doesn't, we're not going to say, "I'm sorry, you can't be on the call today." But what happens is it's just like being unequally yoked kind of thing, to where
Mm,
they're getting all this information, but their spouse is staying out of it, and next thing you know, they're rising up, and their spouse is staying down
yeah.
here, and then you got
Mhm.
it just causes more problems, right? Because now they want to put into practice this awesome stuff, like the communication card, right? And they want to do this. And spouse said, "What is that? Oh, I learned this on
Mm.
the I Am Love Builders MVP club." There's not that fun. So it definitely is better if both couples are
Or
both
attend attendance.
are
Okay.
attending. Yeah.
No, that makes sense. Well, guys, I cannot wait to share some of these resources and this good information, this good pouring into. I know that you guys really have a passion for, helping couples, helping marriages, because I can see it on both of you. So thank you so much for your time.
You're
I really
welcome.
appreciate it.
Thank you
So
for having us.
you're
Thank you,
so
BJ.
welcome. You're so welcome. So, guys, I'm going to drop down all of the links to the ebook, to their website, and how you can connect with them. I'm sure they're more than happy. If you've got any questions, please just reach out to them directly. And until next time, thank you guys so much, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.